In Aikido, from a skill-based point of view, Aikido can be very technical and complicated. In all the attack combinations, you can come up with at least 10,000 techniques. 10,000 techniques that actually have a name and a logic in Aikido, which is a lot. But as you were saying, doesn't mean that if you know 10,000 techniques, you are the best at an art, but rather knowing the basis of all techniques is more important maybe than just knowing every single variation. Some techniques in Aikido have a cross between Aikido and other martial arts, since Aikido was a synthesis of the founders' understanding of art, the martial arts. So some techniques that you see in Judo, for example, or in Jiu-Jitsu are to be found in Aikido too. And since you mentioned the concept of training with a partner, in Aikido, we also have the concept of Uke and Tori. Uke is the person who attacks, and he is also the person who receives the technique done onto him. And Tori is the person who controls the Uke and throws the Uke away. But in Aikido, we don't say he is my enemy or my competitor. We actually call our training Ukes as partners. They are partners in training.
Of course, as in Tai Chi.
And to be a good Uke, to be a good partner in training, you must reach a symbiosis and an understanding between yourself and the person that is doing the technique, so that the goal of Aikido is also followed as like non-violence, protecting each other and protecting from harm. So since there's no competition in Aikido, there is no need to have a display of force and a display of physical superiority. On the contrary, the higher the level in Aikido, the more fluid and the more fluent their moves are, as opposed to the more strength is shown. But before one reaches even a minimum level of good technique in Aikido, one has to practice a lot of Ukemi. Ukemi is called rolling, and it's pretty much the same rolls, or maybe a bit more different than you would see in Judo and Jiu-Jitsu. So if you start Aikido today, you will not learn some fancy technique. On the contrary, you will roll on the floor to make sure that you know how to engage your body with the surface of the mat or the ground. And another interesting thing that people sometimes mention, in Aikido there are no kicks. We do not train kicking. We do not train kicking at a pad, on pads or anything. But what is very, very interesting and I think fascinating is that most Aikido techniques can be applied to kicks too. So usually in Aikido you have an atemi with your hands or with your fist, not as much with your legs, but the same principles of irimi, going forward and taking the move and the momentum of your opponent, follow even if you have an opponent who is throwing kicks and punches. So from a skill point of view, I do believe that having a very strong basis is more important than knowing 1,000 techniques and tricks, even in Aikido.